I got all dressed up. Navy suit tie I hadn't worn since my mama's funeral. I got in my truck, and when I showed up at my daughter's wedding, she looked at me and said, "Dad, you weren't invited. Please leave." Didn't yell it. Didn't cry. Said it like she was reading it off a script someone rehearsed into her head for months. You know, I've been sitting out here on this porch every night for about 7 months now, trying to figure out how to tell this story. Hell, trying to figure out if I even want to tell it. But it's eating at me, like something stuck in my chest that won't come loose. My name's Frank. Frank Delaney. I'm 68 years old, and I used to think I knew what family meant. Used to think love was something that, once you put it out there, it stayed like concrete. You pour it, it sets, and that's that. But I was wrong about a lot of things. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Maybe some of you been through something like this too. Maybe you know what it's like to look at someone you raised and wonder if they ever really saw you at all. I'm going to tell you what happened. Not because I want pity. Not because I think I'm some kind of hero in this mess. I'm telling you because maybe I just need to say it out loud to somebody. Anybody. Rachel was my baby girl. Middle child, but she was always special to me. Had 2 boys too, Michael and James. But Rachel, she had this way of looking at you when she was little, like you hung the moon. Used to wait by the door every night when I came home from work. Didn't matter if it was 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. She'd be there with her little stuffed rabbit ready to tell me about her day. I worked HVAC, started my own business when I was 32, built it up from nothing. 6 days a week, sometimes 7 during summer when the AC units were dropping like flies. Missed a lot of things. School plays, soccer games, parent-teacher conferences. But I thought I was doing right. Thought providing was the same as being present. Carolyn, that's my ex-wife. She never complained. Not at first, anyway. We had a system. I brought home the money. She ran the house, raised the kids, worked fine for about 20 years. Then somewhere around year 21, she started looking at me different, like I was a stranger who just happened to sleep in her bed. The divorce came when Rachel was 15. Carolyn said she'd been unhappy for years. Said I was emotionally absent. Maybe I was. I don't know. All I know is she got the house, got primary custody, and got to tell the story however she wanted. I didn't fight for custody. Partly because my lawyer said I'd lose. Judges don't usually side with dads who work 60-hour weeks. But mostly because I thought the kids would figure it out when they got older. Thought they'd see I never stopped loving them. Never stopped showing up. I was wrong about that too. After the divorce, I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment about 20 minutes away. Had the kids every other weekend at first. Michael and James would come, but they'd spend the whole time on their phones or asking when they could go back to mom's. Rachel tried harder. She'd still hug me when she showed up. Still call me daddy instead of just dad. But something shifted around her 16th birthday. The weekend visits got shorter. Then they stopped altogether. Carolyn would say the kids had plans. Always something. Football practice. Study groups. Friends' birthdays. And legally, once they hit 16, they could choose. They chose her house. Every time. I kept paying child support. Never missed a payment. Paid for Michael's car when he turned 18. Paid for James's college application fees. And Rachel, when she needed money for prom, for her senior trip, for her first car, I was the first call. Not to talk, not to catch up. Just, hey Dad, I hate to ask, but... And I always said yes. Every single time. You know what's funny? Not funny, haha, but funny strange. I kept every text message, every single one. 3 years of messages that all start the same way. Hey Dad, I know we haven't talked in a while, but... Never just, hey Dad, how are you? Never just miss you. Always needed something. When Rachel graduated high school, I sat in the 3rd row at the ceremony. Watched her give a speech about the people who shaped her. She thanked her mom. She thanked her stepdad. Yeah, Carolyn remarried about 2 years after our divorce. Guy named Richard who sold insurance and had time for every softball game. She didn't mention me. I sat there in that hot gymnasium, sweat running down my back, waiting, just waiting for my name. Even just a thanks to everyone who supported me. Something generic would have been fine. But nothing. After the ceremony, I found her in the crowd, gave her the graduation gift I'd been saving for, a check for $5,000 to help with college. She hugged me quick like she was embarrassed, and said, "Thanks, Dad. You're a lifesaver." Then she walked off to take pictures with her mom and Richard. I stood there holding my phone, thinking maybe she'd want a picture with me too. She never came back. College was more of the same. I paid what the loans didn't cover, sent money for books, for meal plans, for spring break trips. She'd text maybe twice a semester, always about money, always promising we'd catch up soon. We never did. When she was 24, she called me out of the blue. First time in maybe 6 months. I thought, this is it. She's finally ready to have a relationship. Maybe she's grown up enough to see things different. Dad, she said, I'm buying a house. My heart jumped. My little girl buying her first house. I was so proud. That's wonderful, honey, I said. You need me to come look at it? Check the furnace? The AC? I can. Actually, she cut me off. I was wondering if you could help with the down payment. $20,000. That's what she needed. $20,000, and she'd pay me back when she could. I sent it the next day. Never saw a dime back. Never saw the house either. She posted pictures on Facebook. I saw them there. Her and her boyfriend standing in front of this little blue house with white shutters. Carolyn commented, so proud of you for doing this all on your own. All on her own. With my $20,000. But here's the thing. I kept hoping. That's what fathers do, right? We hope. We wait. We tell ourselves they'll come around. Tell ourselves that blood means something. That love means something. So when Rachel called me 2 years ago to tell me she was engaged, I was happy. She sounded different on the phone. Warmer, maybe. Like she actually wanted to talk to me. Dad, she said, I want you to be part of this. I know things have been complicated, but this is a fresh start. For all of us, complicated. That's what she called 12 years of being pushed out of my kids' lives. Complicated. But I didn't care about the word. I cared about the invitation. I cared that she was reaching out. Whatever you need, I told her. I'm here. Well, she said, and I could hear her smiling. Weddings are expensive. Of course they are. How much do you need? I asked. Dad, I don't want to put a number on it. Would you be willing to help? Like be the main contributor? The main contributor. Not the father of the bride. The main contributor. But I said yes. Because that's what I do. I say yes to my children, even when they only remember I exist when they need something. Over the next few months we talked more than we had in years. Always about the wedding, but still, she'd send me pictures of flower arrangements, ask my opinion on venues. I paid for all of it. The venue, $12,000. The catering, $8,000. The dress, $4,000. The photographer, the DJ, the flowers, the cake, all of it, $43,000 all told. I know because I kept track this time. Not because I wanted to hold it over her head, but because, I don't know, maybe I needed proof that I was doing something, being something, even if it was just a checkbook. She never asked me about walking her down the aisle. I figured that was Richard's job now. I made my peace with that. Told myself, at least I'd be there. At least I'd see her get married. 5 weeks before the wedding, the calls stopped. The texts stopped. Complete radio silence. I texted her, everything okay? Need anything for the big day? Nothing. A week later, just checking in? Let me know if you need anything? Nothing. 2 weeks before, Rachel getting worried. Please just let me know you're okay. Nothing. I called Carolyn. First time in maybe 3 years. She's just busy, Frank, she said, in that voice that always made me feel like I was overreacting. It's her wedding. Not everything is about you. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 5 a.m. Couldn't sleep anyway. I'd been up most of the night, looking at that navy suit hanging on my closet door. It was the only suit I owned. Bought it for my mother's funeral 8 years ago. Figured it was appropriate. Felt like something was dying in me too. I showered, shaved twice to make sure I didn't miss anything, put on too much cologne, then worried it was too much, tried to wash some off. My hands were shaking when I tied the tie. Had to do it 3 times to get it right. I had something for her. My mother's bracelet, this little silver thing with tiny pearls. Nothing fancy, but it was old, family old, the kind of thing you pass down. I'd kept it in my safe for 20 years waiting for the right moment. This felt like it. The wedding was at 2 p.m. at this place called Riverside Gardens, about an hour from my apartment. I left at noon, wanted to be early, wanted to just sit in the back and watch people arrive, maybe catch a glimpse of her before everything started. I parked in the back of the lot, sat in my truck for a few minutes, looking at myself in the rearview mirror. I looked old. When did I get so old? Gray stubble I'd missed on my neck, lines around my eyes that looked deeper in the afternoon sun. But I was there. That's what mattered. I was there. I saw her before she saw me. She was standing outside the venue with her bridesmaids, laughing about something. She looked beautiful, had her hair up the way her mother used to wear it. Same smile, too. For a second, just a second, I saw my little girl again, the one who used to wait by the door. Then she saw me. The smile died on her face. Just died. Like someone had flipped a switch. I walked over, trying to read her expression. Maybe she was just surprised. Maybe she was nervous. Brides get nervous, right? Rachel? I said. You look beautiful, sweetheart. She looked at her bridesmaids. They all took a step back, like they knew something was coming. Dad, she said, and her voice was careful. Measured. I'm sorry. You weren't invited. I stood there, sure I'd heard her wrong. What do you mean? Please, she said, looking around like I was making a scene. I wasn't. I was just standing there. Just, don't make this harder than it has to be. Rachel, I paid for this, I said. Didn't yell it. Just said it, like maybe she'd forgotten. She looked away. You said it was a gift. A gift? We didn't want drama today. Drama. Standing there in my dead mother's funeral suit, holding her grandmother's bracelet, after paying for every flower, every piece of food, every single thing at this wedding, I was drama. Her fiancé, boy named Tyler, I'd met exactly once, came up and put his hand on her back. Didn't say a word to me, just stood there like he was her security. Please, Dad, Rachel said. Just go. I could have made a scene. Could have told everyone in that parking lot that I paid for this wedding. Could have embarrassed her the way she was embarrassing me. But what would that prove? That I was exactly the man Carolyn had been telling them I was all these years? So I left, walked back to my truck, my legs feeling like they weighed 1,000 pounds each. Got in, started the engine, drove about a mile down the road and pulled into a gas station parking lot. And then I sat there. I wish I could tell you I was angry. Anger would have been easier, cleaner, but I wasn't angry. I was empty, like someone had reached into my chest and scooped out everything that mattered. I looked at that bracelet sitting on my passenger seat. 3 generations of Delaney women had worn it. My grandmother, my mother, was supposed to be Rachel's, was supposed to be part of her something old. My phone was in my hand before I even realized what I was doing. Here's something most people don't know. When you pay for a wedding, really pay for it, not just contribute, but pay, your name goes on contracts, vendor agreements. I'd signed everything because Rachel said it would be easier that way, said she was too busy with work to handle the paperwork. The venue coordinator's name was Sandra. Nice woman, about my age. She answered on the second ring. Mr. Delaney, I'm at the venue now. Everything looks beautiful. Your daughter must be so happy. Sandra, I said, and my voice sounded strange even to me. I need to cancel the event. Silence. I'm sorry. What? Cancel it. All of it. Mr. Delaney, the wedding starts in less than 2 hours. Guests are already... I understand. But I'm the contract holder, and I'm canceling. Is everything okay? Is there an emergency? An emergency? Yeah, you could call it that. Just cancel it, Sandra. Please. She tried to argue. Told me about penalties, about impossibilities, about how the food was already being plated. But legally, she couldn't refuse. My name, my money, my call. I hung up and called the catering company. Then the DJ, then the photographer. One by one, I canceled everything I'd paid for. Not out of revenge. Not really. I couldn't pay for a wedding I wasn't welcome at. Couldn't finance my own humiliation. It took about 30 minutes to cancel $43,000 worth of wedding. Then I turned off my phone and drove home. I didn't turn my phone back on for 3 days. When I finally did, I had 47 missed calls, 162 text messages. The first voicemail was from Carolyn, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. You selfish bastard! You ruined your daughter's wedding. She was standing there in her dress with nowhere to go. How could you do this to her? How could you be so cruel? Cruel. I was cruel. The second message was from Michael, my oldest dad. What the hell? I don't know what happened, but this was low. Even for you. Even for me. Like I had a history of this kind of thing. Like I'd ever done anything but write checks and shut up. The third was from James. I don't even know what to say. Mom's right. You really can't let anything not be about you. There were more, but I stopped listening. Rachel didn't call. Didn't text. Not one word. I found out what happened from my brother Tom. He'd heard through the grapevine, small towns. Everyone knows everyone's business. Apparently, when the venue coordinator started telling guests the wedding was canceled, nobody believed it at first. Then when the catering trucks started leaving, when the DJ started packing up, That's when the panic set in. Rachel, still in her wedding dress, had a breakdown in the parking lot. Complete meltdown. Carolyn was screaming at everyone, trying to call me, trying to call lawyers, trying to salvage something. But there was nothing to salvage. When vendors don't get paid, they don't work. The guests went home confused. The wedding party went to a local bar to try to make sense of it. And Rachel went home to the house I'd helped her buy in the dress I'd paid for, with nothing to show for the day but embarrassment. Tom asked me why I did it. She told me I wasn't invited, Tom. I paid for the whole thing, and she told me to leave. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Good for you, Frank. Good for you." But it didn't feel good. It felt like something inside me had finally broken beyond repair. A week later, I did something I probably shouldn't have. Posted a picture on Facebook. Just the bracelet, sitting on my kitchen table. The caption read, "I came to give this to my daughter. Turns out she already has a dad she wants, so I'll keep this." The comments split right down the middle, half saying I was petty and cruel, half saying they understood. My old friends from work, guys who'd been through divorces, they got it. "It's about damn time, Frank. You gave that girl everything. They only love us when they need checks." But the comment that hit hardest was from a woman I didn't even know. "My dad died last year. Would give anything to have him at my wedding. Your daughter will regret this one day." Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. I don't know anymore. Carolyn made her own post a few days later. "Some people never grow up, even at 68. No wonder our kids dodged him. Dodged. Like I was something to avoid. Like I was the danger here." She went on about how I'd shown my true colors, how I'd always been selfish, how the kids were better off without me. 300 likes. Dozens of comments about what a strong woman she was, raising kids with such a difficult ex. Nobody asked for my side. Nobody wondered why a father would cancel his daughter's wedding. They just assumed Carolyn's version was the truth. It always had been before. 3 weeks after the wedding, I got a text from Rachel. First contact since that day in the parking lot. "You always find a way to make everything about you." That's it. No asking why. No trying to understand. Just accusation. I stared at that text for an hour. Typed out a dozen responses. Deleted them all. What was there to say? She'd already decided who I was. Had decided it years ago, probably. I was the checkbook, the ATM, the emergency fund. But never Dad. Not really. Not where it counted. I didn't respond. A month later, she called. I let it go to voicemail. "Dad, we need to talk about what happened. You really hurt me. I wish you hadn't left. You made everything worse. Call me back. I wish you hadn't left." Like leaving was my choice. Like I hadn't been pushed out that door. You made everything worse. Not, "I'm sorry I uninvited you," not, "I should have handled it differently." Just blame. I never called back. Here's what nobody tells you about standing up for yourself after years of being a doormat. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like grief. I grieve that little girl who used to wait by the door. Grieve the relationship I thought we'd have when she got older. Grieve the grandfather I'd never really get to be to her kids someday. But mostly I grieve the realization that maybe I'd never really had any of it to begin with. You know what the worst part is? I keep thinking about all those years, all those checks I wrote, all those times I said yes, when I probably should have said, "Let's talk first." And I wonder, was it ever about love? Or was it always just about what I could provide? I remember when Rachel was 7, she made me a Father's Day card at school, construction paper and crayon. Nothing fancy. It said, "I love you, Daddy, because you work hard for us." Even then, even at 7 years old, what she loved wasn't me. It was what I did. What I provided. Maybe Carolyn trained her to think that way. Maybe I trained her to think that way by never being around for anything but the bills. Maybe it doesn't matter whose fault it is anymore. That wedding was 7 months ago. Rachel got married anyway. 2 months later. City Hall wedding. Small. I saw the pictures on Facebook. Had to look at them through Tom's account since she blocked me. She looked happy. Richard walked her down the aisle. Or down the courthouse steps, I guess. Carolyn stood next to her as matron of honor. About 20 people there from what I could see. I wasn't invited to that one either, but at least that one I didn't pay for. She hasn't reached out since that voicemail. Neither have the boys. Carolyn sent one more nasty message about how I'd stolen Rachel's special day, how I'd have to live with that forever. You know what? She's right. I do have to live with it. But I also have to live with every school play I missed, every birthday check that never got acknowledged, every Christmas where I sat alone while my kids celebrated with their real family at Carolyn and Richard's. I have to live with $20,000 for a house I never saw inside of, 43,000. For a wedding I couldn't attend, 30 years of child support that somehow never counted as support. I have to live with all of it. The bracelet's still in my drawer. I take it out sometimes. Hold it up to the light. Those little pearls have yellowed a bit over the years. My grandmother wore it to her wedding in 1934. My mother wore it to hers in 1958. It was supposed to keep going, supposed to mean something. Maybe someday Rachel will have a daughter. Maybe that daughter will grow up and want to know about her grandfather. Maybe she'll find me, and I'll give her the bracelet then. Tell her about the women who wore it before. Tell her it means something to be family. Or maybe not. Maybe it ends with me. Maybe some things are meant to break. I keep asking myself if I did the right thing. If I should have just sat in that back row, kept my mouth shut, let her have her day. Been the bigger person, as Carolyn always used to say. But I'm tired of being the bigger person. Tired of shrinking myself so everyone else can feel comfortable. Tired of paying for the privilege of being forgotten. Some nights I think about calling Rachel. Think about trying one more time. Maybe apologizing, though. I'm not sure what for. For canceling? For showing up? For spending 30 years loving someone who learned to see me as an ATM with feelings they didn't have to consider? But I don't call, because I finally understand something. You can't make someone love you by giving them things. You can't buy your way into their heart, and you sure as hell can't apologize your way into a relationship that was never really there. Rachel made her choice. She chose the story, Carolyn told her, chose the family that was there for the pictures and the parties, not the one who was there for the bills. Chose to uninvite me from her wedding, but keep my money. And when I finally chose myself, just once, I became the villain. Fine, I'll be the villain. At least villains don't pay for weddings they can't attend. I got a call from Michael last week. First time in months. Thought maybe he was reaching out, wanting to fix things. But no, his car broke down. Transmission's shot. Did I know anyone who could fix it cheap? I gave him the number for a shop in town. Didn't offer to pay. That's it, he said. That's all you're gonna do. That's it, I said. He hung up without saying goodbye. And you know what? It didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Maybe that's growth. Or maybe that's just what happens when you've been bled dry. Eventually there's nothing left to give. I still work part-time. Didn't really need to. The business sales set me up okay for retirement. But I like keeping my hands busy. Helps me not think too much. Last month I was fixing an AC unit for this young couple. They were planning their wedding, had magazines all over the kitchen table. The bride-to-be was stressed about the cost. My dad's helping, she said, but I feel so guilty. It's so much money. Her fiancé squeezed her hand. He wants to do it, he told you. Whatever makes you happy. She smiled. I know, I want him to know how grateful I am, how much it means that he's there. I had to leave the room for a minute, stood in their garage, pretending to look for a tool I didn't need, trying to get my breathing under control. That's all I wanted. Just to know it meant something. Just to know I mattered beyond the check. Tom comes by sometimes. We sit on the porch, drink beer, don't talk about it. But last week he said something. You know, Frank, I always thought you'd reconcile with them. Thought time would fix it. Yeah, I said. Me too. You regret it? Canceling the wedding? I thought about it for a long time. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I regret that it came to that. I regret not seeing the truth sooner. I regret a lot of things. But standing up for myself? No, I don't regret that. He nodded. Good for you, brother. Good for you. You know what the funny thing is? Not funny, haha, but funny strange. I kept thinking I'd feel different. Like there'd be some moment of clarity, some weight lifted, some peace. But there isn't. There's just quiet. My phone doesn't ring as much. My bank account doesn't drain as fast. My Sundays are all mine now. No waiting for texts that won't come. No hoping this will be the week someone remembers I exist. It's quiet and empty and honest. Maybe that's what it feels like when you stop lying to yourself. When you stop pretending that giving and giving and giving will somehow add up to love. It doesn't. It adds up to being used. And when you finally stop, when you finally say no, everyone acts surprised, shocked. How dare you stop being useful? How dare you want something back? I think about Rachel's wedding day a lot. Not the ending. I've replayed that enough. But the beginning. Getting dressed. Driving there. The hope I felt. I really thought that was going to be our new beginning. Thought maybe seeing her get married, seeing her happy, would somehow heal everything. Would make all those missed years worth it. Instead, it was an ending. The real ending. The moment I couldn't pretend anymore. She stood there in that parking lot, looking at me like I was a stranger, like I was an embarrassment, like I was drama. She didn't want at her perfect day $43,000, and I was drama. 30 years of love, and I was drama. A lifetime of trying, and I was drama. Sometimes I wonder what Carolyn told them all those years. What story she spun to make them see me as the villain before I ever did anything villainous. Did she tell them about the weekends I worked to pay for their school? Did she mention the second job I took when Michael needed braces? Did she explain that I missed those recitals because I was keeping the lights on? Or did she just say I wasn't there? Let them fill in the blanks? Let them imagine a father who didn't care instead of one who cared too much about the wrong things? I'll never know. And even if I did, would it matter? The story's already written in their minds. I'm the dad who left. The dad who canceled the wedding. The dad who makes everything about himself. Fine, let that be the story. At least it's got an ending. I saw Carolyn at the grocery store last month. First time in years. She was with Richard, picking out wine. She saw me and stopped. For a second, I thought she might say something. Maybe even something civil. Instead, she grabbed Richard's arm and walked the other way. Like I was contagious. Like whatever I had might rub off on her perfect life. Richard looked back at me. Just for a second, and I swear I saw something in his eyes. Pity, maybe, understanding, or maybe he was just wondering what kind of man raises kids who won't talk to him. I wanted to tell him, wanted to say, ask your wife, she wrote the script. But what would be the point? He's living in the house I paid for, raising the kids I financed, playing the role I was never allowed to audition for. Let him have it. All of it. I'm done fighting for scraps from my own table. The truth is, I probably wasn't a great father when they were young. I see that now. I thought love looked like work, thought it looked like paychecks, and fixed cars and college funds. Thought if I sacrificed enough, they'd understand. But kids don't want your sacrifice. They want your time. And by the time I had time to give, they didn't want it anymore. Maybe that's on me. Maybe I taught them that I was only good for money by only being good for money. Maybe if I'd been at those recitals instead of working, if I'd made it to those parent-teacher conferences, if I'd fought harder for custody, maybe it would all be different. Or maybe not. Maybe Carolyn would have poisoned them against me anyway. Maybe they would have chosen Richard's easy presence over my complicated one, no matter what. I'll never know. That's the hell of it. I'll never know if I lost them or if they were taken from me, if I failed them or if I was set up to fail. All I know is that I'm 68 years old, sitting on my porch alone, talking to nobody about the family I used to have. Last week would have been Rachel's birthday. 30 years old. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't send money. For the first time in 30 years, I let August 15th pass without acknowledging it. And you know what the sick thing is? She didn't reach out either. Not to say thank you for not calling, not to fight about it. Nothing. Like we'd both finally agreed to stop pretending. I keep that grandmother's bracelet in my dresser drawer, wrapped in the same tissue paper my mother used. Sometimes I take it out, hold it, wonder who it'll go to. Maybe nobody. Maybe I'll be buried with it. Maybe that's fitting, taking the family heirloom with me since there's no family left to give it to. Or maybe someday, years from now, there'll be a knock on my door, and it'll be Rachel, older, maybe wiser, maybe finally understanding what she threw away. Maybe she'll cry. Maybe she'll apologize. Maybe we'll find a way back to each other. But I'm not waiting for that knock anymore. I'm not living for maybes. You know what I've learned? Love isn't supposed to be this hard. Not the real kind. Real love shows up even when there's nothing to gain. Real love says thank you. Real love doesn't make you pay for the privilege of being present. I loved my kids. The only way I knew how. Maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe it was the wrong way. But it was real. Every check. Every missed dinner I worked through. Every time I said yes when I was dead tired. That was love. My kind of love. But they wanted a different kind. The kind that looked like Richard, present and accounted for, reading bedtime stories in the house. I helped pay for, and maybe that's the kind they needed. Maybe that's the kind that counts. I just wish someone had told me sooner that mine didn't. I've been thinking about forgiveness lately. Not forgiving them. I'm not there yet. Maybe never will be, but forgiving myself. For not being the father they needed, for being the father I thought they wanted, for taking so long to see the truth, for finally walking away. That last one's the hardest. Walking away from your own kids feels like betraying everything you're supposed to be as a father. We're supposed to never give up, right? Supposed to love unconditionally. Supposed to keep showing up even when it hurts. But what happens when showing up is killing you? When unconditional love becomes unconditional use? When never giving up means never having anything left for yourself? I don't know the answer. All I know is that I'm tired, and sometimes being tired is enough of a reason to stop. Tom thinks I should try therapy, says it might help to talk to someone professional about all this. Maybe he's right, but what would I say? Hey doc, my kids only loved me for my money, and I finally figured it out at 68. What's there to analyze? Some stories don't have hidden meanings. Sometimes people use you because you let them. Sometimes family isn't what you thought it was. Sometimes love isn't enough. Those aren't psychological mysteries. They're just facts. Sad facts, but facts all the same. You want to know the worst part? The absolute worst part of all of this? I'd probably do it all again. If Rachel called tomorrow, really wanted to talk, not about money, just talk, I'd answer. If she said she was sorry, that she finally understood, that she wanted her dad back, I'd probably forgive her. That's the sick thing about being a parent. Even when they break you, part of you still loves them, still sees that little girl with the stuffed rabbit waiting by the door, still hopes that somewhere inside the adult who told you to leave, that little girl still exists. She probably doesn't. Time doesn't just age us. It changes us. The daughter I'm mourning probably died years ago, replaced by someone I funded but never really knew. But still, I'd answer that call. That's why I keep the phone far from the porch when I sit out here at night, so I won't be tempted to call first, so I won't break the only boundary I've ever set with them. The wedding venue called me last month. Sandra, the coordinator, said they had an opening in their schedule, and wondered if I wanted to rebook for Rachel. Said sometimes couples need a second chance at their perfect day. I almost laughed. Told her no, that ship had sailed. Oh, she said. I thought, well, I assumed you'd worked things out. Families usually do. Families usually do. Maybe in her world. Maybe in the world where families are what they're supposed to be. Where fathers are valued for more than their wallets. Where daughters invite their dads to weddings they paid for. But not in mine. In mine, families are business arrangements that end when the funding stops. In mine, love has an invoice attached. In mine, 30 years of trying adds up to a voicemail telling me I made everything worse. No, I told Sandra. We didn't work it out. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm sorry, Mr. Delaney. That must be very hard. It was the first time since all this happened that someone said they were sorry. Not sorry for me, like I was pathetic. Just sorry, like it was sad, like it mattered. I thanked her and hung up before my voice could crack. I've started doing things I never did before. Joined a bowling league, go to breakfast at the diner every Tuesday with some guys from my old shop. Started reading again. Westerns, mostly. Nothing heavy. It's not a life I planned. Not the retirement I pictured. Thought I'd be watching grandkids by now, teaching them how to fix things, passing on what I knew. Instead, I'm learning how to be alone without being lonely. There's a difference, turns out. Alone is just a state. Lonely is a feeling. You can be lonely in a room full of people who are supposed to love you, and you can be alone on a porch with a beer and feel okay. Not good, not happy, but okay. Sometimes okay is enough. I wonder if Rachel ever thinks about that day. If she regrets it. Not the wedding. I'm sure she's worked that into a story where she's the victim, and I'm the monster. But that moment in the parking lot, looking at her father and telling him to leave. Does she remember my face? Does she remember that I didn't argue? That I just accepted it? Does she wonder why I didn't fight? Or has she convinced herself it was for the best? That I would have ruined everything anyway? That my absence was a gift, even if she had to pay for it with embarrassment? I'll never know, and that's probably for the best. Some questions don't have answers worth hearing. My health's not great. Doctor says my blood pressure's too high. Stress, he says. Need to find ways to relax. I didn't tell him about the wedding. About the kids. What's the point? He can't prescribe medicine for a broken family. But I'm working on it. Walking more. Drinking less. Trying to take care of myself for me, I guess. Strange thing to realize at 68 that I'm the only one who's going to take care of me. All those years taking care of everyone else. And I never learned how to take care of myself. Never thought I'd have to. Thought that was what family was for, taking care of each other. Turns out I was only half right. I took care of them. The other half never happened. You know what I think about most? Not the money. Forget the money. Money's just paper. What I think about is all those Sunday texts I sent. Hope you have a great week. Thinking of you. Love you. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands over the years. Most never answered. but I kept sending them every Sunday, like a prayer to kids who'd forgotten how to pray back. I stopped after the wedding. Haven't sent one since. And you know what? The world didn't end. They didn't notice. The silence I got back is the same silence I always got. Only now I'm not wasting my Sundays waiting for replies that never come. People ask me sometimes, the guys at the diner, Tom, even the doctor, if I have kids. Used to be an easy answer. 3 kids, I'd say. 2 boys and a girl. Now I don't know what to say. Do I have kids if they don't claim me? Am I fathered to people who don't want a father? What do you call yourself when your children are strangers? Usually I just say, it's complicated. People nod like they understand. They don't, but that's okay. How could they? How do you explain that you raised kids who learned to unknow you, that you paid for a family that forgot you existed? You don't. You just say it's complicated and change the subject. Christmas is coming up. First one, I won't send cards, won't send checks, won't sit by the phone hoping someone calls. Tom invited me to his place. His kids will be there, his grandkids, a real family Christmas. I said maybe, but we both know I won't go. It hurt too much watching what I was supposed to have. I'll probably just treat it like any other day. Watch some TV, make a sandwich, go to bed early. It's easier that way. Expect nothing, feel nothing, hurt nothing. That's my new motto. Not exactly inspirational, but it works. I keep wondering what my father would think of all this. He died when I was 40, back when the kids were still kids. Back when I thought I was building something. He wasn't perfect, my old man. Drank too much, yelled too much, but he was there, and we knew he loved us, even when he was difficult, even when he was impossible. He would have been at that wedding, invited or not. He would have been there, would have made a scene, would have demanded his place, would have fought for it. Maybe that's where I went wrong. I didn't fight, just accepted my exile like it was inevitable, like I deserved it. But I was tired of fighting for scraps of love, tired of begging to be included in my own family, tired of pretending that showing up uninvited and unwanted was better than not showing up at all. So I didn't fight. I just left. And in leaving, I finally found something I'd lost a long time ago. My dignity. It's not much, but it's mine. I think the thing that breaks my heart most is that I'll never walk her down the aisle. Never have that moment fathers dream about. Never tell her she looks beautiful and mean it in that way. Only fathers can mean it. Never have that dance. She gave all that to Richard. A man who showed up after the hard work was done, after the diapers and the tantrums and the teenage years, after the bills and the broken hearts and the 2 a.m. fevers. He got the reward for my investment. And maybe that's what I was always supposed to be, the investor. Silent, invisible, important only for what I provided, not who I was. But you know what? I'm done being bitter about it, or trying to be done. Bitterness is exhausting, and I'm already so tired. I'm trying to find peace with it. With being the father who wasn't wanted, with loving kids who couldn't love me back the same way, with giving everything and ending up with nothing. Some people get families, some people get lessons. I got a hell of an education. The sun's going down now, getting cold out here on the porch. In a minute I'll go inside, heat up some soup, watch the news. Same as every night. But for now, I'm just sitting here thinking about that bracelet in my drawer, about the daughter who didn't want it, about the family that used to be mine, and I'm wondering if somewhere out there Rachel's sitting on her own porch, thinking about the father she told to leave, wondering if maybe, just maybe, she made a mistake. Probably not, but a man can wonder. A man can always wonder. That's my story. That's what happened. That's how I became the villain in my own family's tale. Would you have done different? Would you have stayed at that wedding, uninvited and unwanted? Would you have kept paying for the privilege of being ignored? Or would you have done what I did? Walked away? Canceled it all? Chosen yourself for once? I don't know what's right. All I know is what I could live with, and I couldn't live with paying for my own rejection anymore. So I didn't, and now I live with this instead. The quiet, the empty, the knowledge that sometimes love isn't enough, sometimes being a father isn't enough, sometimes you give everything you have and it's still not what they wanted. That's the truth. I never wanted to tell. The story I never wanted to be mine. But here we are. Here I am, 68 years old, sitting on a porch talking to the dark about the light that went out. Funny thing is, I kept asking myself if I overreacted. But the real question is, why the hell did I let it go on this long? Why did I let them treat me like I didn't matter except when the bills came due? Why did I accept crumbs and call it love? Why did it take me 68 years to realize that being someone's father doesn't mean you have to be their doormat? I don't have answers, just questions in this quiet and the certain knowledge that I'll die without ever really knowing my own children. But at least I'll die with my dignity. At least I'll die knowing I finally stood up for myself. It's not much of a comfort, but it's something. It's something. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.